Hi, so I want to talk a little bit about belonging, but I want to talk about it from a more of a cultural perspective. Now, what does that mean? That means that every state, every city, every county basically has a almost like a belonging code type of thing. And what do I mean by that? That means that there are social norms, and I'm talking about the healthy social norms that people do in that area. Like, for example, if people really drive slow in that area, or people drive really, really fast in that area, or, there are different things that people do in those areas. So one of the things that happens a lot of times is people want to move to certain areas, and then they go, I moved here because I really liked it, but I don't like this part. So I want to try and change it because I would rather have it be this way. But that's not what the culture says. Now, I'm not talking about progression. I'm talking about I want it to change because I want it this way. I don't care what the culture says. I want it this way. This becomes a real struggle because when everyone's pulling and tugging and trying to change it the way that they think it should be, it creates not only a selfish, but it also creates danger. So the situation I just told about traffic. If you have people who normally drive at a slower pace and you come in and you go, well, where I come from, they drive faster, so I'm going to drive faster, or I'm going to zigzag out of traffic, you've now created a situation where you could cause an accident because you think it's better to drive this way to an area that doesn't drive that way instead of acclimating. And the reason I'm talking about this is because we've got to stop. There's more going on around this. This is also going on. This is dividing us. This divides us. This is also going on in some ways politically. Well, I think this is accurate, so I'm going to say it. And then people are going, wait a second, that's not accurate. And it's obviously not accurate. And then the people are like, well, I just like it. And so they're fighting, almost causing chaos over things that they choose that they want to believe versus what works in the realm of for everybody. You see, sometimes you have to be individualistic. Personally, I don't want I don't want everyone in my state, my home. That makes sense. That's when you're more individualistic, especially if you go to the bathroom, you don't want everyone in the bathroom with you. That's being more individualistic. I know, I'm being a little silly there. But there are times when you have to think of the collective, community. We have to start learning when are we to think about more with ourselves and when do we think more about the community and belonging. Because we got to be balanced. We've got to stop pointing fingers at people when we're having more point back at us. Now, again, there's a difference between accusing and spreading of false things and then speaking truth and being told it's a lie. And having the data to prove it and being told it's a lie. And saying research is lying. And yet you have to believe me, I study, I've done research, and there are all these ethical things you have to go through. And if you don't do things ethically, you can report it. There are places to report it to. I've actually reported people who have not done ethical research practices. I've reported someone. So that's why research, there's protocols and there's all these things. When you're talking about these comments that people are making, where are the facts? Where are the protocols? It ends up being divisive. It ends up being like, where did you get that from? And it's feeding something. It's feeding chaos. It's feeding division. And it's feeding individualism to an extreme. Because what it's saying is, I want my way. But I still want to belong, but I want it all my way. And I want to belong this way. And you need to belong this way with me. So if you have a place where you're wanting to be, look at the research, you're wanting to understand things more, but you have people around you who are going, no, we want to go this way. And you're like, wait a second, there's nothing supporting that. Or there's things, you get what I'm saying. It's similar to the traffic situation. And this is why I'm talking about this, because this has to do with belonging. And I'm not saying give up what you believe. What I am saying is look at facts. Just like you don't have to give up your fast driving if you move to a state. Get a motorcycle and go out in the country and drive fast. Find where it works. Or go back home if you really, really want to drive fast, or go to a state that drives really, really fast. That's what I'm saying. We have to really understand what the belonging community needs, and not go in and try and change it because we think we like it better this way. We like it better a different way. It's not always going to be our way. Sometimes we have to work with other people and in a community. And we have to understand what that community needs. And not force our will on other places. That's not belonging. That's in a way, that's dictatorship. That's saying my way is better than your way. Instead of saying, how can we partner? How can we look at this together? How can we work together? And we do way too much of the I want my way, where it hurts people. So on that note, I really wanted to address this because I think this is a piece of belonging we need to talk about. A healthy piece of belonging. How do you still keep your individualism while being in community and creating that belonging? So on that note, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.